Jordan on fire right now.
Taylor about the fucking flex.
The San Antonio Spurs has had a lot of change in the last couple of seasons, with Hall of Famers retiring and being forced to trade away a superstar. But despite that, the Spurs have continued to be a well-oiled machine led by the great Gregg Popovich. Last season seemed like the best chance for the Spurs to miss the playoffs for the first time since Popovich took over as coach in 1997. But the Spurs made the playoffs for the 22nd straight season. But they did fail to win 50 games for the first time since the 98-99 season, but that was mostly because of the lockout. They won 48 games last season, despite taking the fewest three-pointers per game of any team in the regular season and the playoffs. They played at the 22nd fastest pace and led the league in mid-range jumpers. That was mostly from their two best players, LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan. Gregg Popovich went against all the analytics and played his type of basketball. Joining him on the sidelines is one of his former players, future Hall of Famer Tim Duncan. It's only been 3 years since Duncan retired, but he makes his return to the Spurs as an assistant coach. It's special for the fans and the organization for Tim Duncan to continue to be a part of the franchise and provide his basketball knowledge to help the team win. Last season started off on a bad note when their young and talented point guard tore his ACL in preseason. He has had almost a full year of recovery and he looks ready to go. He was one of the youngest players to ever make an all-defensive team. Murray is a player who has the quickness, speed, and length to get by defenders and finish in the lane. Hitting his jump shot with consistency is something he was still working on before he got hurt. In his second year, he shot only 27% from the three-point line. He has been trying to find a balance between setting up his teammates and creating for himself. Hopefully he can stay healthy so he can round out his game. LaMarcus Aldridge had another all-star season last year as he averaged 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists a game, shooting 52% from the field. He was also good on the defensive end as well, as he had just over a block a game. Aldridge proved once again to be a very durable player. Despite dealing with a wrist injury and illness, he missed only one game last season, and he's only played fewer than 70 games just 3 times in his career. One of the best abilities is availability. DeMar DeRozan was traded to San Antonio and continued to be a good scorer from mid-range and getting into the lane and finishing over the defense. After somewhat improving as a three-point shooter in his last season in Toronto, he took less three-pointers and obviously made less last season. In fact, in 2019, he's made 0 three-pointers, including the playoffs. The only system that will be accepted is in San Antonio under Gregg Popovich. With DeJounte Murray missing the entire season last year and Derek White missing the first month, DeRozan took over playmaking responsibilities and averaged a career-high 6 assists per game. DeRozan found himself being a distributor as well as a scorer. His scoring did dip a little bit, but along with his assists, his rebounding also went up. He's in the last year of his contract, so I would at least expect his scoring numbers to be the same, if not more. Derek White showed the NBA that he will be a force to be reckoned with in the future. He was productive on a good team in his first season playing regular minutes. He needed some time to recover from his foot injury and missed the first month. But once he got in the flow, he started producing. He's an all-around player. He can shoot, score, play make, and defend. He had his coming out party in the playoffs in Game 3 against the Nuggets, where he scored 36 points. The combination of him and DeJounte Murray could be special. Sliding DeRozan to the 3 spot and having Murray and White start in the backcourt is the best option. They can play off each other, and both can share responsibilities of initiating the offense. Rudy Gay re-signed back with the Spurs this offseason to a 2-year, $32 million contract. Gay has played his best basketball under Gregg Popovich. He has finally regained his confidence and athleticism after suffering an Achilles injury 2 seasons ago. Gay shot a career high in both 2-pointers and 3-pointers and started 50 games for the first time since 2015-16. And he's also been a more committed defender since joining the Spurs. Whether he starts or come off the bench, He is expected to continue to provide the same impact. The Spurs added DeMar DeRozan and Trey Lyles in free agency this summer. DeRozan is a veteran player who can give you solid defense and outside shooting. After being on track to sign Marcus Morris, the deal fell through and Morris ended up signing with the New York Knicks. That provided an opportunity for the former lottery pick from Kentucky, Trey Lyles. Lyles has never been consistent in his short NBA career, but he's still a talented player and he's still only 23. What better organization to save your career than San Antonio? Denver always had a bunch of forwards on its roster, and Lyles never got consistent minutes for a full year. He showed some flashes as a possible stretch forward, as he shot around 38% from 3 in his first and third seasons. He was also a good defensive player last season, as his defensive rating was 4th on the Nuggets for players who played at least 20 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if Popovich taps into his potential and turns him into a solid rotation player for the Spurs. It has happened before with players like Danny Green, Patty Mills, and to a certain extent, Kawhi Leonard. The Spurs have plenty of young talent to build on in the coming years. Murray and White are the most talented young players that they will rely on the most. But the Spurs also have players like Brent Forbes, Jakob Poeltl, Lonnie Walker, and Luka Samanic. The Spurs have always found hidden gems late in the first round, and it seems like it continues. It's a good bet that the Spurs will make the playoffs for the 23rd consecutive season. I have the Spurs winning 50 games and grabbing the 6th seed. Aldridge and DeRozan will continue giving the Spurs their consistent production, and players like Derek White and DeJounte Murray will prove that the future of the Spurs is in good hands.